When you commit to leaving no one behind, you have to start by understanding who the most vulnerable people are. So you have to take a dual approach, one of efficiency and effectiveness, but also one of reaching out to those furthest behind and building their resilience.
If you leave anyone behind, ultimately it will come to haunt you, because those marginalized people will come up, particularly in democracies. They will organize themselves, they will articulate, and it'll be too late for you to include them. The minute you include somebody in the mainstream in some manner who's been left out, he or she begins to produce economic value. They become productive, they gain dignity, they begin to be part of the mainstream.
Focusing on the poorest and the most marginalised isn't only a social obligation. There's also a real economic, micro and macroeconomic benefit from focusing and improving outcomes among these populations. It's not just the individuals. You think about whole families as an intergenerational issue that by dealing with the issues around poverty and marginalisation today, you're also making productive citizens for the future.
On this track of all the day we have collected 3 questions. The first one is how to understand who, where and why are people vulnerable, how to break up this vicious cycle of social problems, and lastly, what are the formulas to bridge all the stakeholders together.
So the recommendations we have for that fall into 4 buckets. The first is to be very inclusive in the design of policy and to make sure that beneficiaries are part of the process of policy design. The second is to make sure that policy is directed at empowering individuals, so empowering the most marginalized communities. The third is to make sure that we tap into new technologies and the opportunities that brings, but the fourth, and maybe that's more important, is that to make this type of policy sustainable, we want to make sure not only to tap into the technological tools, but especially the culture of innovation.